Essential question: what did women have to go through to gain their rights?
In the 1800s, women had no rights. They couldn't vote or hold office. When the woman got married, the husband was the owner of her property. The few situations where the woman would work outside of her house, the money she earned went to her husband. The husband also had the right to hit and abuse his wife as long as he didn't seriously injure her. I can't even imagine what the women had to go through on a daily basis. If they were hit regularly and any money they made went to their husband and they didn't even have a say in what was done with it. I don't know how they did it. I'm sure that I wouldn't be able to do that even for a few days. These women were so strong, and they got little to no respect from anyone for what they had to go through. Many women objected this. Women such as Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott held meetings in secret places debating women's rights. "We agreed to hold a women's right convention," said Elizabeth. "The men had shown a great need for education on that question." Many women joined the abolitionist movement. They worked hard to end slavery while realizing that they didn't have many rights themselves. They didn't have full social and political rights. Sarah and Angelina Grimmick were some of the first to speak out. Their boldness of their anti-slavery shocked many people in the North. A newspaper in New England criticized the sisters. They said, "When a woman assumes the place and tone of a man as a public reformer, her character becomes unnatural." The Grimmick sisters and other women reformers rejected these ideas and didn't accept them. After hearing things like this, they were determined more than they ever had been before. They continued their crusade and lectured women about their rights as well as abolition. I wonder what I would have done in these times. I wonder what everyone else I know would do. I think I would have had a very strong opinion on women's rights and be one of the many people like the Grimmicks fighting for our rights. Many African American women also wanted freedom, for both slavery and the few rights they had as a woman. One woman, Sojourner Truth, was born into slavery and watched most of her 13 children be sold into slavery. In 1840, Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton wanted to hold a convention for women's rights. This convention didn't even happen until 8 years later, in 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York. Around 400 men and 200 women attended the Seneca Falls Convention. At the convention, the leaders of the women's rights movement presented a declaration sentiments. It had All of
in
the men
parts
and women
of the
that attended
Declaration of
Seneca
Independence,
Falls
such as
Convention,
voted
voted
for
for
resolutions to be
resolutions and equality
self-evident,
for women at
that
work,
all
at
men
school,
and
and in
women are
church.
created equal.
All of the resolutions passed except one. The one that wasn't passed at first was the one that demanded women to vote in elections. Even some of the head women of the convention were skeptical to do this. In the end, though, the resolution passed by small majority. The Seneca Falls Convention started an organized women's movement. In the years after 1848, women and also some men worked to change many things. In some states, they won additional legal rights, such as New York State. They passed laws for women to allow them to keep their own property and wages after they got married. Progress with women's rights was slow. Many people opposed the goals of the movement. This struggle lasted many years and still sometimes goes on today. Women and men at Seneca Falls believed that education was key to equality and healthy life. At this time, families that were poor had little chance of learning to even read and write. Young middle-class women were often sent to school. Although they didn't learn math or science like their brothers, they learned dancing and drawing. Many people argued that women are supposed to devote themselves to marriage and children. Why do they need an education? Reformers such as Emma Willard and Mary Lyon worked to improve women's education. Emma opened a high school for girls in Troy, New York. There, young women were able to study subjects for men that their brothers usually studied, like mathematics, physics, and philosophy. Mount Holyoke, the first women's college in the United States, was opened also by Mary Lyon in 1837. Around the same time they opened, some men's colleges started to admit women. Some women tried to enter fields like medicine. Elizabeth Blackwell went to a medical school called Geneva College in New York. Many people were surprised that she graduated first in her class. I wonder what it would have been like to be one of the first women to graduate first in her class in a degree that men were the only ones that did it. Women had practiced medicine since colonial times, but Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman in the U.S. that got a medical degree. She also set up the very first nursing school in the nation. I can't imagine what these women had to go through. They were constantly being degraded and put down. They had to have been so strong to push through these times, and now, because of them, women now have equal rights. I don't know how to thank them enough.